Hey, this is Allison hanging out in my space to craft, and I'm bringing you a formal photo, a formal family photo that we took on the cruise of all of the siblings. And had created this page kit with a piece of, I think this color was called cranberry. Creative Memories cardstock, and I'm going to do a triple frame, and then I have this embossed black paper, which is really great for formal photos, and then a piece of white cardstock. I'm gutting the red and the white just so that this page is not quite so thick and bulky, since I have a lot of pages in my albums. So I'm just cutting a half an inch off the white one. And then, so I'm going for a 1/4 inch of the red, and then just a very small 1/16 of an inch showing of the white, and then the black as the base. So to make this easier on me, I wrote down the measurements so that I wouldn't forget what I was trying to do. So this one I'm cutting 3/4 of an inch, I think it is, off 2 sides. And I did it correctly. So I wrote down on a piece of paper the sizes that I wanted, the outside dimensions of the papers. And then for the gutting, I just make sure I have 1 inch to 1.25 inches to tape onto. And that makes it sturdy enough. You can go a little smaller, but I find that having the inch gives me the confidence, or 1.5 inches actually gives me a little more confidence. So I really like that look. So I'm going to sort of repeat it here for the photo. It is only a 4x6 photo. I printed it. It's not, you could do the same layout, honestly, with a 5x7. It would look really good with a 5x7 with the same essential layout. Somehow my trimmer was not cutting very straight. So I've done a thin white border, and now I'm going to do a wider red one. And the reason I picked this red color is because one of the girls is wearing a dress that color. The other girls are all wearing black, and the boys are all, have black jackets or dark navy jackets and things like that. So I didn't pull much ephemera from this. I will end up having to make some additional ephemera, but I had pulled a couple of frames. I will use one of them. I don't use both of them. By cutting it the way I cut this, I do need to cover up the bad cut. So I have this Seize the Day, and I have this, I thought what I'd write is Beautiful Family. So I'm going to go off and cut the word beautiful out of this glitter cardstock. But I end up not liking it. It's too muted with the brighter gold. So I end up not using this. And you can see I'm just fussing. It did cut all the way through. You just have to fuss with it a little bit to get it out without tearing it. So I do that. I don't love it. I'm going to end up recutting it, and then I will just put that on a card or something, or another page. I will save it. It's too pretty not to save. It's a beautiful scrolly font. All right. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I do end up changing it. And then I want to write family out of this Vicky Bouton sort of funky font. I start with this black F. I'm going to end up changing that and having to Frankenstein something because it just wasn't right. I'm having trouble with the more solid black things showing up on this black background. Here's where I decide to go off and cut it out of gold, the brighter gold. And that shows up a lot better. That's a much better contrast. So I'm switching out some of the letters because it was too much dark at the end. So I'm just fussing around trying to pick the right letters for everything. Excuse me. So I prefer this F, but again, I don't love that it isn't showing up. I thought, well, maybe I can use a gold pen on it. I didn't even try that because I know this gold is not super shiny. So then I think, well, what about Nouveau drops? So I start by doing dots. Maybe I can make it just speckled. Don't love that. So this is experimentation, y'all. So then I'm like, all right, well, let's see if we can brush that to create a gold covered F. And I don't love that either. So I'm going to end up cutting an F out of my gold foil cardstock scraps. So I'm thinking. So I was hoping that Nouveau drops would still be wet and I could stamp an image to cut, but it didn't work out. So I'm just trimming it. I had to do 2 efforts at this. I didn't cut it exactly right the first time, but I get there eventually. And it ends up looking okay in the end. So here's my second effort. All right, I think that's it. Final trimming. That took a while, y'all. I hope you stuck with me. If so, give this video a thumbs up. And if you have other ideas for how I could have made that F work better, please leave a comment. So the other thing I wanted to do was create a little outline border for this Seize the Day oval because it was just, everything else was sort of glitzy and shiny, and it wasn't. And so I just hand cut it. Of course, my hand cutting skills are not perfect, so I'm going to simply offset it so that I get a little bit of that golden shine, but not, but you can't tell that it's not perfectly even. That's a trick. If you have things that you've miscut a little, just offset them. Nobody will know. Well, all of y'all know. So I'm ready to commit. Start getting these pieces down. I do fuss around with this and try it in a couple of different places. Just trying to figure out where I want the different embellishments. This embellishment is from a Ginger's Corner swap. The reason I'm including it here, first of all, it's black and white, and secondly, the boys were 18, all over 18, between 18 and 20, and so they got to go into the casino on this cruise. So they had a good time checking out the casino for the first time. And I really do like this word, beautiful, that the full die actually says making beautiful and memories. So you can do lots of different things with that. So I hem and haw a little bit and decide that all I need to really do is, I'm going to go off and cut a couple of more items. So I cut this, we were on a cruise, so I cut this compass rose and then a diamond. Again, because it was formal night and that's sort of, casino-y. So now it's just a matter of figuring out where I want those things. And my struggle is I still need to cover those spots where I cut that frame. So that doesn't look bad like that, but that's not where I landed. Those two reds I didn't love right next to each other, which is why this doesn't stay there. And that's where I ended up. And my adhesive gave up on me. So just connecting those two. And it's time for some sparkle. So I do have some red sequins. And these are those sequins I've mentioned before. They're super staticky. I mean, they just stick like crazy. So I'm just sprinkling those around in the top left and then the bottom right of the photo, not the bottom right of the whole page. Just doing, I think I have 5 in each area. And then I'm going to follow that up with just some Nuvo drops. And I have some gold Nuvo drops. Those will be perfect. They're just the right tone. And I'm just going to do 3 of those for each. All right, and let's do some close-ups. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel and you can hit the notify button. I do post almost every day, probably 5 days a week, and I do a variety of haul videos, some cards from scraps, scraps to embellishments, 12 by 12 pages. I even did some Christmas journaling this year. I've got some more pages to do for that. So a nice variety of content for you. And here's our beautiful extended family. Thanks a lot, you guys.